All right, in this video, I'm going to do a quick breakdown and overview of our upcoming Olympic lifting cycle. It's going to be 8 weeks long. You're going to train 3 days a week. And the goal is to go back to the basics of the Olympic lifting technique. And then we're going to slowly build on that into the power version of lift. So power, clean, and then power snatch. And slowly build from there into the squat version, as well as working on our pressing. So both our snatch overhead work, as well as our push press into our push jerk, eventually leading into our split jerk. So trying to master the overhead on the side while we're also working the core lifts on the other 2 days. All right, so week number 1, we're going to start with the clean day. So on cleans, you do clean pull 3x3 and then directly into a power clean 2x2. So on the clean pull, and then we're going to basically do the same exact thing with the snatch. Snatch pull 3x3, power snatch 2x2. The goal here, percentage wise, 55 to 60%. This should be very light almost. You want to be able to be light enough so that you can nail your technique every single time. So keys for us in class, keeping the bar nice and close to the body, working on that second pull after the knees, especially keeping it close there, making contact, especially in the clean, because we have a lot of people who have a hard time with that, but making contact and then initiating the pull. So in the clean pulls, the snatch pulls, trying to nail that in. And then as you transition into the power clean and this power snatch on the second part of the lift, maintaining all the technique of the pull into those more full lifts. All right, so those are days 1, days 2, so clean and then the snatch. Then our overhead day, we're gonna go snatch, grip, push press. So starting from behind the neck in that snatch grip, doing a 3x3, and then going to a push press 2x3. The snatch, grip, push press, try to keep that a little bit lighter, move through the motions, practice driving into the correct overhead position. So armpits forwards, rolling those shoulders back, staying nice and tight, externally rotating the arms. The push press, you can get a little bit heavier, but nothing crazy. So still trying to be under 75%. All right, so trying to drive power through the legs, but we're not going crazy yet on the weight. The emphasis of this week, week 1, is power and technique. All right, so nail the technique, but nail the power coming through the technique. All right, so move quick under correct technique. Week number 2, we're going to add on to what we were doing last week. So last week we did our sets of clean and snatch pulls, and then we did sets of power cleans and squat cleans. This week we're going to make a complex out of it. So you do 5 sets of 2 clean pulls into 1 power clean. So you do 1 pull, another pull, and then directly into your third lift will be a full power clean. Percentages will go up a little bit, 60 to 65%, but trying again to manage your technique under and across the full lift. So under more speed, under a full power, but across the entire lift. So if your clean pulls look completely different than your power clean, something went wrong, right? So trying to make sure that everything's the same as you go through your lift. We're gonna do the same exact thing with the snatch. So 5 sets of 2 snatch pull into 1 power snatch, percentages 60 to 65%. Even that might be too heavy for some of us. Bring it back down until the technique is right, right? Overhead day. We're going to do 3 sets of 2 snatch, grip, push press, and then 2 sets of 3 on the push press. Very similar, if not the same as last week. Again, trying to nail in perfect technique under a little bit of weight. Well, feel free to add a little bit of weight this week, especially under that snatch, because I want us to be comfortable pressing into that position. Because as we start going towards our squat snatch, you're going to need to be comfortable driving the bar up and overhead as you are going down. All right, so this week, week 2's main focus is maintaining that technique across your full lift. Week number 3, we're going to start adding in the squat of these lifts. So 2 sets of 1 clean pull into 1 power clean. So similar to last week's complex, but now we're reducing the clean pull down to just 1. So 1 clean pull, 1 power clean, same percentages as last week. All right, so not lifting any heavier than last week. Same thing with the snatch. 1 snatch pull into 1 power snatch. Same percentage as last week. The second piece of both of those days, the clean day and the snatch day, you're going to do 3 sets of 1 power clean and then 1 front squat. So 1 power clean directly into a front squat. 1 power snatch directly into an overhead squat. The overhead squat will be the more challenging thing for most of us here. The front squat, most people can hit. Overhead squats where things start to get a little shaky. We are going to introduce a little bit higher percentages, so 65 to 70% now with that, because the squat, you're able to squat more, then you should be able to pull over your head. That's not always true, I know, for the overhead squat because we're restricted by mobility, stability, a lot of different factors there, especially on the overhead. The front squat, not so much, but we're going to do our best on that day. For the overhead day, you're going to introduce the push jerk now. So no more push press, no more snatch grip push press. We're going push jerk 5x3 at around 70%. All right. So now we're starting to mirror on the overhead day, very similar to the clean and the snatch day. The emphasis of this week is having power throughout the lift and introducing a full range of motion. So the lift is still broken up. We're not doing a full squat clean yet, but we still have that full range of motion somewhere, right? So we're going all the way up with the barbell and then all the way through a full range of motion squat. Week number 4. Now on the clean, we are going to introduce a full front squat, and now the clean pulls, snatch pulls are completely out of the way. So we're going to do 5 sets of 2 power cleans into 2 front squats, 70 to 72%. So we're still working relatively light. So when you pick up the bar, you want to be able to move it with speed, power, and intention. All right, that's the emphasis of the week. Move with power and intention. When you train Olympic lifts, this is like the meat of our cycle right here. This week and the next week after this is when the money gets made. When you train Olympic lifts, you want to train at a range where you can move the bar fast because it's all about developing power. If you can't move the bar fast, you're not developing power. So this is why we train somewhere between 70 to 80% most of the time with Olympic lifts. So same thing for the snatch, 5 sets of 2 power snatch into 2 overhead squats. So working through that full range of motion again, just like last week. The overhead day, 5x3 push jerk again, but now the percentages will go up a little bit. So 70, 72%. Week number 5. Now we have the full lifts. All right, so we're going to go 3 sets of 2 squat clean at 75-ish%. And then you're going to go 2x2 squat clean at a little bit heavier. So a little bit lighter the first 2, a little bit heavier on the last 2, almost getting up to that 80% range. Again, you need to move with power and speed. If the bar is moving slowly, drop the weight. We're not at the point where we're trying to push for super heavy weights still. Right now, we're just trying to work through the range of motion under power. All right, so the emphasis of this week is maintaining technique and power over the full range of motion. So same exact rep scheme with the snatch, 3x2 at a lighter weight at the full squat snatch now. We're trying to hit a full squat snatch. And then 2x2 at a little bit heavier weight. Now, unfortunately, and because of a lot of people's range of motion, I know that a lot of your squat snatches are less than your power snatches. Still, we're going to be working with our squat snatch percentages here, not our power snatch percentages. Overhead, the goal of this week is to learn the split jerk. So if you've never learned it before, we're going to teach you. All right, so that is the goal of this week. If you do know it before, and you have trained it, this will be an opportunity to you just to kind of work up to where you might be currently at, because the next 2 weeks following, we're going to be doing it part of the cycle. So leads us into week number 6. We're going to do 3x2 squat clean at 80% and then 2x2 at 82%. So again, this is the meat of the program. Same thing with the snatch. So squat snatch, 3x2, 80%, 2x2, 82%. Trying to now get a little bit of power, a little bit of speed under a little bit heavier loads. So, and then now we're going to go split jerk 6x2, working up to 7 to 8 RPE. Same emphasis as last week, maintaining your technique and your power over the full range of motion across all 3 of these lifts. Week number 7. All right, this is where we start to combine the clean and the jerk. So we only have 2 days of lifting this week, but you're doing a full clean and jerk on the clean day. So you do 3 sets of 2 clean and jerk, working off 80% of your jerk. All right, because for most of us, that will be the harder half of the lift. And then you'll do 3x1 at 85%. So squat snatch is going to be a little bit different now because we don't have that jerk on the squat snatch. It's just that one movement. So you're going to 3x2 at around 82%, and then 3x1 around 82% again. So greater than 82% on those sets of 1, ideally. On the last week, we're going to work to a heavy clean and jerk and work to a heavy snatch. This is the first week of the Open, the CrossFit Open. So we don't know what's going to show up there. It might be a heavy lift. I prefer if there's not. But either way, we were going to have a time where you have the opportunity to work up to a heavy clean and jerk and then a heavy snatch on a different day. So emphasis here is technique and speed. The bar will not go up if there's not speed behind it, and the bar will not go up if you do not have correct technique. So working there to maintain your technique and speed, even as it's heavy, even as you're going for your max. If the way you lift your max lift is way different than how you lift an empty barbell, something went wrong. All right. So your technique is not as good as it needs to be. And that's a great way to judge it. So if you're trying to move fast and it looks different than it does when you're moving slowly, no good. So that's why at the beginning, really focusing on technique. As you go across the 8 weeks, trying to focus more on maintaining technique, even as it's heavy, trying to maintain speed, even as it's heavy, right? So that is your 8 week Olympic lifting cycle starting out next week. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, then I'll see you guys in the gym.